another video, just kind of in the midst of cleaning the garage here when the mailman showed up with something I'm going to show you in a second, which is going to be what I would consider the most important part of any truck build. You know, we're all real good at picking out what lift kit we want, what tires we want, and all that. That's kind of the easy stuff. This is where it's going to start getting important and becoming real. And then once we're done with that, I will go ahead and give you guys kind of a tour of my garage, my space. This is the place where I probably hang out the most in my house. And what I'm talking about is all of the sample powder coat colors for the BBB build, which is right there, coincidentally. So, as you guys know, from the rendering of the BBB build, the rendering color was just a little bit off. And I'm kind of going off of one picture of one wheel that I saw, but I never had a real definitive answer as to what powder coat color that was. Thus, leads me on this journey to figure out what color is closest to it, I think, and obviously everything you're gonna see in pictures is gonna look different than it does in real life. So therein lies what I consider the toughest part of a new truck build, is figuring out how to get that color right. Certain things can be powder coated, certain things are gonna have to be painted, so you gotta find a color that's gonna be able to kind of translate through both, I guess, platforms of coloring something and still be able to look the same, because paint and powder coat are two completely different things. So everything I've ordered here is from Prismatic Powders, and as you guys see here, some of these are free and some of these are in a ring. So you can go onto their website and order up to 5 free samples, unless you want to send it to different addresses, and then you can order as many as you want. But anyways, 5 free samples, and then if you want to like stay in a color spectrum, I guess, they will give you this ring that has many different colors with different top coats, bottom coats, whatever, just done out in a bunch of different ways. That way you guys have different options. So obviously I went with both because I couldn't find the exact color I wanted in these swatches until obviously after I ordered this, then I found it. But anyways, I've narrowed it down, and what I've narrowed it down to is, if I remember correctly, let me see. So we had first narrowed it down to these two, right? And this one is the true color of what I actually think the wheel color that I saw was. But then if you look at the rendering, it's a little bit darker, and I actually really do like that look, which then brings in this color. And I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to pick it up due to the light, but this one's got like a little bit of a black fleck into it. I don't know if fleck's the right word. Whereas this is just a nice shiny variation of copper. So being that I kind of liked the darker versus the lighter, I opted to get this color palette here, which has some pretty funky giraffe looking stuff on it that I would never go with. But in this color palette, I happened upon a beautiful kind of blend between the two. And like I said, I know it's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but this one's got just a little bit of that black in it. It's darker, but it's still kind of close to my original color. So I've been going back and forth on the colors for the last couple of days, I would say. So I've been kind of getting opinions of other people. I asked Chris, and Chris was a fan of the darker bronze. They call it cinnamon with the black fleck in it, just because he thinks the other one's going to be too light. So to that I say, and something you guys might want to keep in mind is, let me take this over to the truck here. Everywhere this color is going to be on the truck is going to be somewhere deep inside of either a wheel well. They're going to be deep dish wheels, so they're going to be deep inside the wheel. So any color that's going to be on there is going to actually end up being darker because there's not really going to be direct sunlight on it. So here is the color that Chris liked. And if you see it in the wheel well, it can kind of almost end up disappearing, I would say. Now it probably shows up better on camera than your eye's going to see it, but to that extent, that's about the brightness you would see of the color. Now, if we switch it over to the original color that I wanted to go with, now you can see it actually pops in the wheel well, and I think it's going to stand out a little bit more. Same within the wheels. Like I said, there's going to be 14 wide wheels, so the color is going to be just on the back faceplate of the wheel, as you can see in the rendering here. So being that the color is going to be so deep in there, there's not going to be a whole lot of sunlight on that. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards, I mean, especially if you look right here. I mean, tell me which color you see more when they're both there. So I definitely think I want to go with a lighter color, which therein lies why this color might be ideal. It's a combo of the two, if I can get it to stand up straight here. Still a little bit darker, but has that right color that I'm going for. So here's where I need your guys' help, or at least I would like some of your guys' input onto what color we should be picking. As you guys know, I do everything black and white. It's really easy for me. I have little experience with doing colors on a truck build. I'm sure some of you guys have a lot more experience than I do. So we're gonna call this color here, we're gonna call this Chris's color. We're gonna call this Rhino's color. And we're gonna call this Le Combo. So if you guys would be so kind, go ahead and leave down in the comments which color you think is gonna look best for the BBB build. But anyways, enough about the colors on the truck. Let's run around and do a nice little tour of the garage. And first thing everybody notices is the Red Bull vending machine, which is, yes, an actual vending machine. So we used to have a pool table out here. This used to be the hangout spot. This is where all the friends would come over and we'd all kind of do our thing. As you guys can see from the bench seat there, that is actually, fun fact for you, the bench seat from the factory out of the Kodiak prior to us pulling that out and putting in the seat that folds out into a bed. But anyways, the pool table used to be right over here, which we'll get to kind of what that is in a second. And as you guys know, I don't know about you guys, but for me, anything that's a flat surface at some point in its life is going to become a workbench. It's just how it is. So my pool table was starting to become way too much of a workbench, and I decided I better get rid of it before I ruin it. And just to kind of show you guys how long it's been since we've really been out here hanging out, I don't think they make Red Bull Cola anymore, and I'm pretty sure there's one in the vending machine, so let's see if we can get one out. And you're probably wondering why they're not free or why this machine's not set to free at my own house. Well, you know, buddies bring over buddies, and I don't like people mooching off me. Oh, come on, there we go. All right, let's see, Red Bull Cola. All right, a nice, fresh Red Bull Cola. I wonder if this has an expiration date. Oh yeah, found the expiration date. 8/16/2010. It's been a little while. So if we start working our way around this way, we have the ever infamous I support single moms pregnant stripper decal. That seems to cause a little bit of controversy with some people out there. We move over to more decals, and then we get to what is one of my favorite things other than the circumstances. This is an actual map from the stadium, obviously for the Chargers, and that dot is where our season tickets were for 30 plus years prior to them leaving town. Now we keep moving around and we come up to the golf cart here, and I'm sure you guys are saying, Rhino, I didn't know you were a landscape contractor. And fun fact for you guys, I'm not. And the reason that's on there is there's a lot of landscapers in this area. This area is, I think, probably 6 days out of the week, there are landscapers running around, whether it be for our community, our city, whatever, and they all have golf carts. Well, the cops around here don't necessarily play kindly to people driving around in golf carts, but obviously these guys never get hassled for work. So I figure, all right, I'm gonna make a nice little pretend landscape company, put it on the side of the golf cart, hang my nice yellow vest on the back, and as far as anybody's concerned, I am just on the job driving around through the neighborhood. We have taken this thing, I'd say probably 6, 7, 8 miles, taking it to the mall. Never had an issue once since we did that. As we keep coming around, we have the stock tires off the Silverado right there, which if anybody wants factory 20 LTZ whatever tires with maybe 4,000 or 5,000 miles off them from a Silverado, they're right there. Let me know, I'll sell them to you. We've got my Jersey wall. Yes, I did used to ride and race motocross. Those days are obviously long gone because I've sold all my bikes. Work just became way too prominent and never had time to kind of go out to the track anymore. Got a check up there from winning one of the races. Then we come around, and now's where we get into the money-making side of the garage. This is where all the tools are. This is kind of actually overflowing a little bit, and when I kind of put these shelves in, obviously I didn't own as many tools as I do now. And for the people out there wondering or wanting to start their own construction company, I find it hilarious when people say, oh no, you gotta have millions of dollars to start up your own company like that. And you really don't, it's a lie. I started my company with a couple $1,000s to be able to get through the licensing, the bonds, the insurance and all that, and a couple tools and a truck. And to be honest with you guys, the truck's optional depending on how much you want to beat up your car. You start off with what you got, be able to do jobs with the tools that you have, and then as you make a little bit more money, you buy a new tool. Or as you find a job that permits you, buy a new tool. And that's kind of how I've gone through and obviously expanded my tools. And yes, I'm a big Milwaukee fan. And I'm sure you've spotted the unicycle. No, that's not a tool. No, I don't make money with that, or at least yet. Actually, I guess by the time this video's out, we'll have made money with it. And yes, I can ride it. And yes, I'll show you. And one thing I have to have hooked up in my garage at all times is an air compressor. The other thing we're gonna get to when we get over there, but it's just really convenient to have something always hooked up, always operational. Now before we get too crazy, it has been years since I've been on a unicycle, and no, you will never be considered the coolest guy in the world for riding a unicycle, but I'll do it for you guys. It was never something I mastered, but I think we can pull it off for you guys. And keep in mind, I'm in my garage, so there's not a whole lot of place to go here. But anyways, enough clowning around. Let's keep the tour going. We move on up here. We've got our sweet deer head who's been through a few wild nights of his own. He's got his ears pierced. He's got a cigarette in his mouth, and he's got kind of my collection of credentials from a bunch of stuff we've done over the years. Anyways, moving along, got the nice cabinet here with obviously a plethora of decals. And if you guys wonder where kind of the I guess, I don't know, life of decal started. It started when I had one of the first Groms brought into the US, and I kind of took over the Grom decal market. But yeah, this is some of the WORKFORIT designs. This is where they all started right here. Obviously, enthusiast, my boy Dirty Max. So if we keep coming around over here, we've got this beautiful, I mean, maybe not the prettiest thing in the world, but the biggest workbench I've ever had in a garage. This thing's about the size of a pool table, maybe a little bit longer. And if you go back into my older videos, you'll see that we actually used these on a job site. We made, I think, 8 of these tables, and we actually formed up a bunch of concrete steps on them to then be craned into place and put on the metal staircase that we built. So instead of throwing a bunch of these away, which we actually threw most of them away, I think I'm actually the only person that kept one, I decided to bring this one home, turn it into a workbench, which then brings me over to the next tool that I think is always mandatory to always have plugged in and set up, and that's a miter saw. But let me tell you, same with having a compressor always hooked up, having a miter saw always hooked up is just one of the best, most convenient things. And yes, I have 2 miter saws. This one is actually strictly for the garage because it was just so convenient to always leave it here. And every time I took it to work or left it on a job site is the time that I would always need it at the house. And then if we come back around, you can see over here where the pool cues used to be, now just a nice shelf to collect dust from the miter saw. Little Louis Vito snowboarding poster. Obviously San Diego Chargers, was a big fan prior to them leaving. Rock climbing harness there. And then this big old thing just fell off my truck one day. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's really a pain in the ass to store. So if any of you guys out there have had one of these fall off your truck and you need one, just let me know. We'll see if we can work something out because I want this stupid thing out of my garage. We move above that and we see this pretty sweet basketball net, hoop, whatever. We used to get down in here to some pretty crazy games of horse. And just because apparently we're trying out everything in the garage on camera, I'm gonna try and make a shot here while we're on camera. It's probably not gonna work. There it is. Because something everybody notices and points out in the videos is our girl here, which weirdly she never got a name, but she was involved in a lot of the shenanigans that went on back in the day when all the buddies were over. And she actually used to have a mustache, which is apparently now hanging out in her mouth. We were mustache twins, I guess you could say. But anyways, she was a going away gift from my buddy who was going away into the Coast Guard, and for whatever reason he didn't want to take her with him. We figured, you know, you're gonna be in the Coast Guard, that's like kind of what you need with you, right? You're stuck on a boat forever. Anyways, he left her, she just became part of the house, and I don't even want to know what's happened to that thing. Alright, so that concludes our garage tour. And with that, we're going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you guys for watching these videos, and thank you guys for coming along on the journey of the BBB build. I told you guys on this build, I'm going to take you guys from the entire beginning, concept to reality. That way you guys can see what it takes to get a truck of this caliber built. You know, there's not a lot of people that'll do it from start to finish. They just kind of show you an idea and then all of a sudden, boom, they have a truck there. I want you guys to see every step of the way, from the rendering to picking colors to coordinating parts and all that. It's going to be a fun journey. So I hope you guys are just as excited to come along. And to make sure you don't miss anything that's coming up with the BBB build, please subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And also don't forget to give this video a like, aka a thumbs up. You guys are the best. We're out.
Damn.